One afternoon, I was out with some friends, and one of my mates was due to start work soon. So I was giving him a lift to work. The thing is though, it was very busy in town, and my mate had 5 minutes to get there, otherwise he was going to be late. My mate wasn't too worried about it, but me being a stress head, I didn't want him to be late for work. So I tried my hardest to get him there on time. There were just so many cars crawling along the street we were driving on. Then the traffic was starting to break up, and I was getting a bit impatient at this point because the car in front of me was going 10 kilometers under the speed limit and there was heaps of room in front of it. Then suddenly a police car come up behind me and was signalling us to pull over. My heart sank. Now I knew my mate was going to be late for work, but my mate told me to chill out as I now have this to worry about. After I had pulled over, the policeman got out and walked very quickly up to my car window. The policeman was a bit agitated. "Do you know why I pulled you over today?" No, not really, officer. Why did you pull me over for?" The policeman gave me a funny look and then said, "Don't be smart, mate. I was asking you a serious question." I was taken aback by what he just said, because I wasn't being smart. "I'm sorry, officer. I really have no idea. Was I speeding or something?" The officer was getting frustrated now. "No, mate. The reason I pulled you over was because you were tailgating that car in front of you. You're meant to have a 3-second gap in between your car and the car in front. Same with the car behind you." "But officer, everyone was tailgating. Plus my mate is running late for work, so I was in a bit of a hurry." The car in front of me was going at like 10 kilometers under the speed limit. The policeman didn't care about what I had just said. He then breath tested me, asked for my license, and then walked back to his vehicle to scan it. While the policeman was in his car, we spoke about how rude and arrogant the officer was. Was he having a bad day or what? Or was he just naturally like that? My other mate in the car made a joke about him, saying he was just an angry pig. The police officer came back and said, "You know I can hear every word that's been said in the car here, right? You better be careful with what you say." We all just looked at each other speechless. The police officer then went to check around my car to make sure there was nothing wrong with it. The policeman wanted to slam me today. He stood at the front of my car, writing stuff down in his infringement book. What else was he going to fine me for? Then he came back and told me I was up for 2 new tyres, I was missing a P-plate off the back of the car as well. He ended up handing me 3 different infringement notices, one for tailgating, one for missing a P-plate, and one for supposedly having 2 bald tyres. This was absolutely ridiculous. The policeman told me if he caught me tailgating again, he would take my license off me. I didn't argue and the officer returned to his vehicle. We all sat there in silence, as we didn't want the policeman to hear what we really thought of him. He pulled out before me, which was a bit strange. Normally they let you pull out first. After the policeman had left, it was safe for me to pull out, and I started following the police car. What happened next was even more ridiculous. The policeman started braking in front of us, and there was no one in front of him either. Was he brake testing us? Was he trying to get me for tailgating him? He did this about 3 times, so I backed right off because I knew he was going to get me again otherwise. He then drove off and turned left, as I had to go straight. The 3 of us in the car could not believe what had just happened. That officer really had it out for me that day. Or he was just targeting me because he was having a bad day. I dropped my friend off at work, and it turned out he was 15 minutes late, but his boss was okay given the circumstances. We never came across that policeman again, thankfully.